Welcome to the Two Dudes Talk Tattoos podcast, a podcast so great it'll tear the pants right off your hind end. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Ryan Othis. You can find me online at bettertattooing.com, the Better Tattooing shop in Portland, Oregon, and our YouTube, Better Tattooing. My co-host is Brian Matthew. You can find him at the Tailored Fit Tattoo Gallery in Rogers, Arkansas, or online, Brian Matthew Illustrations, Brian Matthew Tattoos, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. And someone is racing down the street at high speed. Anyways, today, oh boy, do we have a show for you. We have Kari Barba on the show. I know. How in the hell did we get that happen? I have no idea. But Kari is by far and above one of the fucking coolest people that I have ever met. Like, she just exudes cool, you know? I mean, even past the fact that, like, the more you learn about her, you go online, research, read about her, that she's just done so many amazing things over the years. You'd figure that it would go to your head, you know? But no, she's just chill. That's awesome. So, Brian and I had a ton of fun recording with her, and this is all part of that tattoo history. So pay attention, all of you people who are tattoo, I don't know, aficionados or artists or collectors or whatever, because this is a good lesson on how to be when you do this job for as long as she has. Like, it's amazing. Anyways, there's our plugs. If you want to go ahead and support the show, you can head over to our Buy Me a Coffee page. We've got a link in the show description. You can give us money. And even though we don't have any spiffs right now, we're thinking about opening some stuff up when we hit episode, probably 40 or something like that. And so, yeah, if you give us money now, you're just giving it to us because you're cool, and we appreciate it. We've gotten a few donations over the past couple months. It was really, really, really appreciated from the people who did that. As well as, if you are listening, pause right now. Go, leave us a review. We love reviews. It makes us more popular on the charts for all the podcast players. I don't know how it works. I think it's some algorithm thing or something. But when you do it, more people can listen to the show, which I don't even know how many people find us on search. I think it's just word of mouth right now. So if you're telling your friends, dude, everyone out there, high five. That was me high-fiving you. Thank you so much for spreading the word. And anyways, I'll stop rambling now and enjoy the show. This is Kari Barba. Awesome.
Welcome to Arkansas. Let's go.
Oh, hello. Kari's on here. Waiting for the audio to connect. There we go.
There we go.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Good.
We got our talking voices worked out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm working on that. Let's see. I'm trying to get the height right. That's always the hard part. And the volume.
You too, like Brian is up here too. I'm Ryan, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Good morning.
You guys have like this early morning culture thing, and like I feel like I'm about to die.
Where are you? What time is it?
I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're over here with me.
Yeah, same thing. I'm like,
straight up. Yeah. So I usually wake up about 6:30-ish, so it isn't too bad. Yeah.
That's wild. I keep like my average work day will go until like, I don't know, midnight or 1 o'clock. And so it's just like heavy. And now
yeah,
I woke up like, oh, I had 2 cups of coffee in baby cups today. So
nice. Baby cups.
Baby cups. That's
seriously
funny.
It's 360 cups. So these are double wall insulated, right? And they cost like $15, and they have a spill-proof bladder on top. So I have a sippy cup that I drink my coffee out of. Everyone's like, "Are you drinking out of baby cups?"
There you go.
Yeah, dude.
They're cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on and talking.
Yeah,
with
no
us.
problem.
This is really cool. We're trying to find everyone who has some branch to like the history of all of this stuff come and talk with us this year, because it seems, at least to us, that there's not a whole lot of looking back now.
You're right.
And,
You're right. There isn't a lot of history looking back anymore. A lot of it is getting lost. But times change, and so you don't want to always look back. You just want to learn from looking back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I figured I had one of the people I work with do some research on you, and they're like, "Yeah, Kari is badass."
I don't know about that part, but
it's like, as my friend sees, and she's like, "Man, she's fucking cool, dude. She's cool." I'm like, "Right on."
That's cool. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started here. Do you have any do we need to do do you have a time frame for when you need to get out of here? Make sure that I don't get too crazy.
Yeah, I got a couple hours, Okay. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Great.
This is like one of our first proper professional interviews here. Past talking to scientists, because they're just scientists, and who gives a shit about that?
And we're recording, right? Not live?
Yeah, not live.
Okay.
No. Yeah, it's all recorded.
That's always good, because then you can fix things.
Yeah. Yeah. And Brian will tell you that happens a lot, especially with me. I tend to just talk. He's the quiet one. And well, thoughtful. I shouldn't say quiet. Sorry, Brian.
I'm contemporary.
Okay.
He's got the coffee going too.
Oh, dude.
Oh yeah, always.
Are you is he in a coffee shop?
No, this is my tattoo shop.
Oh, it is? Wow. It looks like almost like a coffee shop for a second. Wow. Cute. Yeah, I didn't run to the studio. It's a little early, so I was like, if I could go down there, but then as soon as people start walking in, because everybody kind of works early, now after our COVID break, people have adjusted their schedules. So some don't start till 3, but some of us start at 9:30, so we're in there tattooing by 9:30. Some of them, I have one girl comes in sometimes 8 o'clock, and I'm like, I can't find a quiet window at the shop, anymore. It's really hard. So we avoid that.
How many people do you have working at your shop?
I think there's 12 right now.
Jeez, crazy. Right on.
Well, there's a lot. It seems like a lot, right? But then, again, after this break we had, people's lifestyles have changed a bit. So, I have a few artists who are, let's go. And then other ones who have been they need less work. They don't want to work as much. They want more of a balance. So, some of them come in a few times a week, and some of them try to work as much as they can. So it just depends on the artist. Everybody and we've left it very free like that. So everybody comes and goes as they want.
That's cool. And we were actually just talking about that before you hopped on and I was wondering what the age range is, the people who are go-getters versus not, because we were literally just talking about how the younger people seem less enthused and they don't have very much pride in their work anymore. So they go on, they're just like, I don't want to be here. And we're like, let's just go get a new job.
No, that is the life, right? I don't know how old you guys are, but roughly. But so my son tattoos also, and he's here right now visiting from Colorado. He moved out to Colorado just a little bit ago, and he's got the go-getter, right? He works his ass off. He's always working. He works 6 days a week. He works long days. Same thing I used to do. I'm still working 5 days. It's 5 days a week. Sometimes I'm working here and there. I've popped in a couple 6-dayers just because, my crew is 3-dayers, so I got a few who work 4 or 5, but it's more rare. And the younger generation definitely has a more split lifestyle than I say we did growing up, right?
Work-life balance wasn't something that I was raised to believe in.
No. You just work. You can have a balance later.
Yeah. You work until you're 65, then you go on cruises. That's what happens, right?
Yeah, hopefully. But I don't know about that anymore.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so get into the questions. Hopefully those were all right for you when I sent them across. Sorry about the weird formatting thing too. I don't know technology.
No, it's fine.
So why don't you tell us who you are, how long you've been tattooing, and where you work?
Gosh, too long. No, I'm kidding. No, my name's Kari Barba, and I own Outer Limits Tattoo. and we have 2 locations right now. I've been tattooing this will be my 44th year.
Wow.
So yeah, you start to feel it. Let me tell you, you start feeling it around 10 years, right? So each year it gets a little bit more. And anyway, so 44 years. I started in 79 is when I did my first tattoo. And I know the majority of the people listening to this weren't born yet. So I start to feel a little old,
That's neat.
but it's,
jeez, man.
I
Yeah, I'm
know,
thinking
I
like,
know it's a long time. I think about it and I'm like, gosh, 44 years, like, your average jobs, you work wherever at corporate, whatever, then you, at 20 years, you're pretty much getting, pension and retiring. And we don't have that,
no.
So in our job, we go as long as we can, and just keep on moving, right? Keep on moving. Yeah.
Keep going until your back is like this and you can't really do anything anymore, right? I see you have good posture though. So like
well, I have this chair that leans back, the bouncy chair.
Oh man. I guess that there's a dude in Vancouver, Washington who owns Columbia Tattoos, and I think he's been tattooing for like 68 years. And
oh shit,
he's just when you walk in, I forget his name. He's super nice dude, but it's like the last vestige of a street shop in the Pacific Northwest. You walk in, it's got the black and white, like floors. It smells like bleach. And you go in, super clean. Flash rack still up on the walls. No custom anything. Just come and pick a design and get out. It's $100 an hour.
No kidding.
And he slays too, like still. But I mean, he's like when you go and he looks like he's dying.
68 years.
Oh,
what is he? He's got to be in his 80s.
Oh
right?
yeah. That's still going.
I guess Rick Walters was. He was up there a bit. There's been a few people like that who are still going, at 70s, 80s,
I don't know if I could do that. I'm 40 now. I've been tattooing for like 20 years and my body's like, maybe you need to start thinking about something else, but
yeah, a lot of people switch out, it gets to your body for sure. I think that's where people started saying, okay, I'm going to invent a product, I'm going to come up with a cream that helps you heal, I'm going to come up with something to do with tattooing, so it's still in the industry, but I'm not going to have to tattoo as much anymore. And that's where all those products come from that we have.
The big innovations. Yeah. That's right. I was just thinking about taking a bath in Bactine and seeing if that helps.
That would be hilarious.
I'll put that on TikTok. Although all of a sudden we found out this morning that my TikTok, what was it, Brian? It was
currently inactive or something.
It was previously currently inactive. It was weird. They just canceled my thing.
So you really know when you're older when you don't do TikTok. No. I'm like, I don't want to do that,
No, I've been on TikTok for 2 days and it was just to upload videos. And I just put them on there and I left. And I usually like once a month, I'll go and just like dump like 4 videos on for some of the theory stuff that we do at the office here. And then it's just was currently suspended. That was it. Was currently? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm non sequitur person. I apologize. I don't have ADHD. We tested it. It's just I'm weird.
No, that's fine. It makes it interesting. So
see,
you want everything like that's not our business, right?
No, I'm like this all the time. I like dance and stuff. I'm always like high energy at the shop. Brian is like a Zen monk. He's always like what he's doing right now. He's drawing.
Yeah. Well, I am when I start to tattoo, I zen out, I have to always apologize to my clients first because I get so, narrow vision into the tattoo that, conversation and tattoo at the same time can be difficult for me, right? So I explained to them, hey, I have a tendency to get really quiet. So, here's an iPad, here's some Netflix, zone out, watch a movie. Take care of
yourself. Yeah.
Right. Listen to your music. And, there's a little conversation here and there, but if I talk the whole time, I have to stop. Right. And then I'm like, I feel like I'm wasting time, so I do that. And then I'm like, let's take a break. We talk for a minute in a break, get a little snack, whatever, go back to it, kind of do it that way. It makes it easier.
That's smart. I work on my stand-up routine while I'm tattooing. So
there you go.
that's not
So
not smart.
entirely the opposite.
Yeah, no, totally the opposite.
Yeah, my idea of like taking a break during the tattoo is I want to get as far away from the client as I can. And it's not for like any mean reason, but like
No, you need
the
personal moment, right?
overstimulation of having to like be tattooing, listening to music, listening to their conversation, etc. I just have to get as far away from all of that as I can, hit a reset button, and then come.
Yeah. We have a little lunchroom in our shop, you know, so I ditch in there, have a little snack, drink some water, and every single break I get on my foam roller. So I'm like, I cannot bring my client in there, you know, because I'm down on the floor, I'm doing my back, you know, doing my foam roller. I'm like, we have these like all these let me help my body tools in the little lunchroom. So somebody's in there like popping with those S hook things, and
Yeah,
somebody's doing that, and
that's
you know,
actually
so
smart, man.
it's good,
I usually just like
really good.
everything is already so fucking crazy in the shop anyways. I'll stand up because we have spa music on normally, you know, it just like helps people just kind of mellow out. But I'll put on like
Yeah.
Meshuggah and like turn it up really loud, and I just like, yeah, and my client's just like, Jesus Christ, listen to me. And then I go to the back, I'm like, oh
Wake
my
you
God,
up a
my
little
back.
bit.
Yeah.
No wonder your back hurts.
Yeah, totally. I think I blew out my knee, or at least like strained my meniscus last week because I was being so just crazy at the
Okay, I'm
shop.
going to tell you a quick story. Just going to take a side road for a second
Yeah.
because you mentioned that. And last June, we had a couple of friends over, and one of my friends kept turning on different weird music just to see how we would dance to it, you know.
Yeah.
So and you know, we're all in our 60s, right? So we're like, we turn it on, and I'm walking through the living room doing this little dance. Pop, I I severed my ACL, I tore my meniscus, and I broke a Baker cyst in the back of my knee all in 1 second.
No.
So take it easy on those little movements
Oh my
because
gosh.
yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, I was down for a while. Yeah.
hearing that makes me want to scream, like in pain, just for you. I'm like, jeez.
You know, it's so weird too because I didn't feel anything. It was so strange, and I heard it. And I looked down at my leg and I was like, oh shit, that isn't good. Right. And then I tried to walk and I couldn't walk, you know? So I'm like, and they thought I broke it at first. And it took like a month to figure out it wasn't broken. So I'm in this like straight tattooing with my leg in the air, straight out, you know, like this in this splint thing, and it was ridiculous, you know, and people are like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, well, I have clients, you know. I have to take care of my clients.
You don't want
Anyway.
to rebook like 2 years worth of work because you can't miss like a week, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Go.
Yeah.
I got hit by a car once riding my bike home from work, and I broke my elbow and my knee because the guy ran me over, and I was at work the next day.
Oh God. See, that's
like,
that's what we do, right?
Screaming as I'm picking up my arm, you know.
Because we don't have like, oh, I'm going to use my sick time and my health insurance.
Yeah, we got some pretty shitty PPO. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't have a 401k, anyway. You know.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry for the side road.
No, we are all about non sequiturs. This is like the best. Okay, so what's up with your shop? Like, I remember reading about it here, and it's like one of the oldest shops in North America. Is that correct?
Yeah, super lucky. So we're the oldest shop in the total of Americas and the second oldest in the whole world. So there's one older shop in Europe that I think it edges us by like 6 years, but our shop was started in 1927 in the Pike area of Long Beach, which it used to be a really heavy naval port, you know, and it's like, you know, got a lot of military coming through. But the shop was open in 27 and has continually run that whole time. And prior to us acquiring the shop, so we acquired it in 2003, and it was the Shaw family who had the shop before that. So, and it was left to Bob Shaw by Burt Grimm. So prior to that, it was called the Professionals. So there's a long history of tattoo artists there. and a lot of really well-known tattoo artists came out of there. So it's pretty well-known shop. We get a lot of visitors all the time who come in just to check it out, you know. And when we came into it in 2003, the Shaw family actually owned the space, you know. So we first had to purchase the space, and then it was like, okay, we own it. Now what do we do? We're out of money, right? So now what? So it took us a minute, you know, to get it all redone. The city's like, well, it's an old building. The building was built in 1921. So it's the last remaining single piece of the Pike. So the Pike used to be a huge amusement area. So it had all these rides, and it had, you know, those little arcade things and all this stuff all over, and the military and families and everybody would just swarm the area, you know, eat hot dogs and ride rides and do all that. We were the Pike area was actually the first one to have Dole pineapple juice. That's kind of a funny history part, but that's where Dole pineapple juice came from. And anyway, so we had to redo the shop. We had to do the rerun the plumbing and rerun the electrical and do a lot of things like that.
Abatement.
All of that.
Oh.
Yeah. So we were lucky because we knew somebody who used to do that for a living, you know, but we tried to keep it as natural as possible to the original building. So all the stuff that had been put in, like there was a bunch of, you know, paneling and drop ceiling and all that, we ripped it all out, went down to the raw building and left that, and then just added in any walls we needed, you know, and kind of add a flair, but kind of kept the naval feel to it, you know.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah, I've seen some pictures of the inside. It's a really beautiful shop. But it is.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we
comfy.
We were lucky during that breakdown we had that break, so we redid our floors. So the floors were originally from the 20s, you know.
No kidding.
We had they were cement, but they had like grooves cut in them, and it, you know, it got so porous over all the years, you just could not keep it clean, right? So we're like, okay, we gotta redo the floor. So we did the cement, you know, and polished it all up and did that. But
that's
yeah,
cool.
So there's a lot of history. A lot of great artists came out of there. You know, we got the Bob Shaw, of course, and then his two sons, Larry and Bobby. And we have Don Nolan came through there. Ed Hardy came through there. You know, gosh, you could go on for years and name the number of artists in the Pike too, because that's where Lyle Tuttle worked. That's where Mark Mahoney came from. Jack Rudy worked down there with Good Time Charlie. You know, it's kind of the spring off of black and gray work started
so
there.
There's something in the water there, is what you're saying.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow. So it's like the origin point of the like West Coast heritage of tattooing, right?
Exactly.
Like that was the Mecca. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really neat. How does it feel stepping into that? Like taking that over? Because I mean, like you seem like you're more than qualified, dude. So
it's so funny because at the beginning it was really, really nerve-wracking. Like Rick came to me and he's like, "Hey, Kari, you know, the Shaws are trying to sell the shop. I think you should buy it." And I'm like, "Oh no, no way!" I was running 3 other shops at the time, and I was like, I can't do another shop. It's too much, you know. And he's like, he kept asking me, and finally, I'm like, I drove by the shop one day just to kind of glance at it, and everything was out of there, right? And and then I called, and he's like, yeah, they closed it. They closed it down. Everybody took everything. It's empty, just a shell, right? The only thing left that we could see was in the windows right at the front door. There's these 2 windows they took out, and there was a painting of a ship and a painting of an eagle, you know? And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So I made some calls really quick, and we decided we needed to get the shop at that time, you know, because I was like, the history's disappearing. You know, it's all the history is right here, and nobody who worked there took it. And I was hoping somebody would, like Rick would run it or something, but I think it felt too much for them at the time. I think that what happened is the city started tearing everything down around. So the old Pike, they demolished it in 79. The only thing left of the Pike area, this amusement park area, is the shop itself, because it's at the bottom floor of a 12-story building where people live, right? So they couldn't tear down the building, right? So everything in the whole area is being flattened, and they're building, here's an apartment building, here's apartment building. It's like this little bitty place, and all of a sudden, pew, 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 all this is happening around it.
Wow.
So the shop needed to be saved, I felt. And so when I walk in there the first time, I'm like, crap, just imagine how many people touched this doorknob. How many people walked on this floor, right? It was so cool to walk in there. And then when we started doing the work in the building, we had to end up eventually going in the floor. We had to run the electrical, we had to dig big 6x12 spots in the floor to go down and redo plumbing, underground. And they're finding all these things down there, from the construction crew, right? Like, little bottles and little tin cups. We found a little Bible, all these little PC artifacts that were from the era of the 20s. So it was super cool.
That's really neat.
Yeah, but it's amazing. And at first I was like, that is too much weight to carry. I thought, I don't think I can carry that much history and do it justice. I was a little worried about that, because I have a terrible memory. So I'm like, okay, somebody tells me like, oh, in 1924, this happened. I'm like, oh shit, I better write that down, because someday somebody's going to ask me that, So I'm bad at that. So I was really concerned about how I was going to be able to handle it,
Yeah. Luckily enough, I think there's a bunch. I have a buddy of mine, John, who owns a shop here in town next to me. And he's one of those guys who has like memorized tattoo history. And so they go, Bert said this on this day. I'm like, dude, you weren't even alive.
Damn.
He's like, trust me, I've got it from good records. He's got like,
yeah.
So, if you don't have memory, it's fine. I'm pretty sure John can help out. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, that would be great.
It's like some people, like
Bert used to do some funny things. He was, a lot of the old timers had their funny little sayings, and one thing Bert used to do all the time is he would, in the middle of his tattoo, he would stop, and this is what I was told, of course. He would kick back in his chair, and he would start to tell them about how you're being tattooed by a world famous guy, right? Yeah. I'm, world famous Bert Grimm. I'm known around the world, blah, blah, blah. And he would tell them the story, which created world famous Bert Grimm, right? That's how it happens.
That's so great. I got to come up with some backstory for me, Brian.
Yeah.
Invent a moniker.
Yeah, you need what'd you say?
We got to invent a moniker.
Yeah, you definitely need a story. You got to start saying, kick back and tell them your story.
I should do that because people call me the Bill Nye of tattooing around me, and I think that's subjectively awful. So I need to come up with something better.
There you go.
Scientific research only takes you so far.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right.
You just expand upon it, so you're just quote unquote better than Bill Nye at tattooing.
I'm better than Bill Nye at tattooing. Engineering, I think he's got a couple more patents than I do. That works, dude.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Well, okay, so like thinking of the shop now, when you look back, I know you're like you said, this is a lot of weight to carry. Like, how did you evolve into that space where you've gotten comfortable with it over time? Is it just like immersion therapy? Or
yeah, I think so. I think it just happened naturally. I mean, thank goodness for my crew at the time, because it was an ordeal, right? Going in there and having to redo the entire space, and the crew all pitched in, so we didn't like hire a guy and say, hey, remodel the shop. It was basically like, hey, can you go in and help me do this brick? Can we lay this brick? So we did, things like that. And we had, some people cutting the wood, and, we had wood laying everywhere, and some people sanding, and some people staining. And so we tried to bring the feel back, so that helped everybody become a part of it. Everybody who worked there at the time became a part of that history. That's cool. One of the girls who worked there at the time painted a traditional ship in the water on the front floor when you walk in, that kind of thing. And they'd come in the middle of the night and paint a wall or two,
That's so cool.
Things like that. So that immersion of being in there every day and working with it, you just start to feel it and become part of it.
Yeah, claiming the space little by little. You're actually it's not like you're walking into a space that's already done and you have to try to, right? Oh, that's cool.
Correct. Yeah. We have a good story about one of those moments. We had piercing there at the beginning. So our piercer, he would go in the middle of the night, because he was a night guy. He wanted to paint, like after shift or whatever, where he was working at our other shop at the time. And he would go in there, and he didn't want to get his clothes dirty. So he'd get down to his underwear, right? And he'd paint in his underwear. He's back there painting walls. And we had been told there's it's another side story, but we have a resident ghost, right, in the shop.
Right on.
Who used to be an apprentice at the shop, but sometime we found out later. But anyway, he's in there and he's scared to death of this whole situation. So he starts cursing at the ghost, telling the ghost, babe, cursing at him, telling him, hey, leave me the F alone, all this stuff, kind of thing, while he's painting the wall. That said, the ghost ripped the earring right out of his ear. Like, this stuff was happening, I swear to God, this stuff was happening. So he's in his underwear, runs out of the shop, runs to the payphone down the street, calls me, Kari, you have to get down there right now. I'm not freaking going back in there. That mother effing, ghost is in there, and I'm not going in there. He ripped the earring out of my ear, and he's like telling me it's bleeding and all this stuff. He goes, my clothes are in there. The doors are all open. The lights are on. He's like, I'm not going back. Funny stuff like that used to happen. But so we had to kind of we had a construction guy who was a medium. He kind of camped out there for a week and did a cleansing, and communicated with the ghost, right? So that we could coexist,
Holy cow.
That's when we found out who he was, that he was an apprentice guy who used to work at the shop, and unfortunately had a misfortune accident while doing some substances he shouldn't have been doing, and he kind of smothered himself, right? And so that guy ended up being I'd go in really early, like 6 or 7 in the morning, and I'd be like, see this little figure walk by me, kind of, in your peripheral, you just kind of see that, and I turn around and I'm like, oh, he's here, but it became like he was just there, and we were there, and everything was fine after that. But very interesting story about redoing the shop.
Yeah, dude. Wow. That's so... I'm glad.
I feel like I would have just made him the shop mascot at that point. Just by,
yeah.
He's there anyway.
Yeah. At one point we were trying to I had an apprentice doing some research on the shop, and she was like, researching and finding names. And she goes, I wonder if it's this guy, if this is his name, and showed me a picture of him. And I'm like, it probably was, because how many people actually have that kind of accident at your shop building,
Right.
Yeah.
Used to be the All-American stovetop autoclaves that exploded,
Oh, yeah. I don't think the one they had when we got there worked. It was kind of rusted stuff.
That's so great.
Yeah, I never heard of one of those exploding. They exploded?
Yeah, we had one explode.
They explode all the time.
Yeah, there's one in Barrie, Ontario, Canada, that ended up taking out a building.
Oh my God! Well, I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, we used to when I was first apprenticing. we had one of those in the back. It was like tall. He had a hot plate. And they were like, gave me a crescent wrench. And they're like, when it gets up to this, you got to just tap it open a little bit. Then make sure that it doesn't go above this line or it'll explode. I'm like, what is this fucking thing? And they're like, have fun. And then just left the shop,
Oh my gosh.
Just like getting burnt trying to,
I think there was a lot of at least you had one.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. There you go. Well, I guess you've been tattooing 20 years. So, let's go back 49. When I started tattooing, I didn't want to put needle to skin until we had some way to sterilize the needle, So we did do that. But I know that at the time, the majority of tattoo artists did not work that way. They reused the needles until they were dull, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember. I remember this one tattoo artist. We went to go visit out here in California, and he had like a 10-gallon fish tank sitting next to his station. It was filled with water, and that was his rinse thing, right? So he would just reach up and rinse in there, rinse out his needle. But he never changed that water. It was just disgusting. It was slimy and gooey and, like caked up ink in the bottom, right? Just shake it in there and go to the next color. And I was like, oh my God, this is disgusting, right?
It's like stories of the shave buckets back in the day where you didn't have plumbing. So they'd bring in a bucket of water, they'd shave everyone into it. So you want to be first in the door. Otherwise,
that's right.
You get that rinse bucket with a boot strap and some needle to make sure it's sharp, right? Shave into the bucket, grab a rag and wipe you down.
It's the same thing with tattooing. They had that, just like that little, painting that's so famous, right? With the guy sitting there, he's got a bucket down there. They got a sponge in it.
Yeah.
This wasn't my era. It was prior to my era, but they would, just take that same sponge, rinse the skin, grab the same needle, go for it. Next guy sits down, same sponge, rinse it off, same needle, go for it,
Do you know when disposable gloves came into play?
For us, I do.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, I thought I did because I thought I was I believed always that I was the first person to wear disposable gloves for tattooing. So in 1983, we opened our shop in Anaheim. Yeah. And within that year, I was like, I am disgusted by this feeling on my hands, So I'm like, this is so gross, this drying blood and ink on my hands. I'm wondering if I could wear gloves like the doctors do, and then I'll just take them off, So I go to the drugstore and I buy a box of these gloves, and I said, this is heaven, right? And then I'm like tattooing and I'm like, oh, shoot, what if I put a baggie or a plastic over my bottle, then I don't have to wash it, right? Right? Yeah. It's going to save so much time if I just put plastic on these things, So I started putting little baggies on everything, wearing gloves. And I remember the first time I went to a convention like that, and the old timers are like, oh no, you can't. No. You cannot do this, Kari. You're going to screw everybody if you do this. We're all going to have to do this if you start doing this and people see it, But so for years, I thought I had never seen anybody do it. So I thought I was the first one. But I saw a video of Doc Webb. Oh. Doc Webb in the 50s wearing gloves. Mm. So Doc Webb is the first one. Wow. But it didn't continue any further than Doc Webb. Whereas I was later, I'm in the that was in the 80s. So in the early 80s, at that point, it caught on and other people started doing the same thing. So, wow. Doc even used to wash the skin and shave it and do all this stuff that they just didn't do at the time. Wow. He was a very clean, particular man. I saw a video of where he was totally prepping and doing everything to the skin, and then he'd wash his hands and he'd put on his gloves, and I'm like, holy crap. Yeah. Good for him, right?
Yeah.
I was just getting ready for surgery. Just like, shit's going down. We're going to clean up.
No,
That's
exactly.
Interesting. Well,
so that's what it's become.
it's like Mendelian genetics. Remember, it was like Gregor Mendel had started all this stuff, and people were still working on genetics long past his death. And it was like two people went into some repository in Europe, and they found a bunch of old scientific notes in this like clergy space. And then they were doing the same work, and they found these notes that this guy was doing pea plants, like 200 years before or whatever. And they're like, oh, somebody's already done this. But they're still the ones that get to push it forward. So you know what? So we're talking to the person who invented barrier and safe tattooing. Holy shit.
God, yeah.
Wasn't expecting that. Oh,
I'm
no,
sorry.
it's fantastic.
I mean, I'm I always have to apologize because it was just for my personal problems I was having with the feeling of that, and like never
That's
being
awesome.
able to get the ink out,
Yeah.
I mean, at my era when I went in and watched tattoo artists, they were still taking the machine and running it in their hand to make sure the needles worked right, Oh yeah, all the tattoo artists had this like callousy tattoo part right here that they would practice, try the needles, make sure the tension was good. Yeah. And I was like, I am not doing that. There's no way I'm doing that.
I forgot about that. I remember meeting an old boy when I first started, and he was doing stuff like that. I'm like, is that safe? And he's like,
no, it's not safe, right? Totally not safe.
Golly, that is so neat. Well, this is kind of going back to like the big differences, right? Because like, how long did it take for that to start catching on? If it was in the 80s, was it like becoming industry standard by the 90s, we'll say?
Yeah, pretty much. So, at the conventions, I started seeing people start to wear gloves within a year-ish. I'd pop in next convention, at that time they only had like one a year in the United States. It would move around and everybody went to the same show. So we'd show up and I'd be like, oh, and they're like, yeah, it's just so much easier. But at the time, we didn't realize, we weren't aware that you not only have to cover everything, then you still have to clean it. You still have to wipe it down. So for us, it was like, take the gloves off, take the plastic off, put on a new one, go for it again. It was just seemed easier. But, now there's a lot more steps involved. But by the 90s, everybody was doing that. It started becoming, let's see, I'm trying to remember what year, sometimes years. So when I went to the first European convention I went to, and was in 87. And nobody was doing it over there. So I probably caused that problem over there too. It's probably my fault.
You come in with all your barriers and stuff. People are like, what the fuck is this American doing?
Like, stuff, right? Yeah. Exactly.
That's neat. So what happened in the 90s? I knew we were going to segue into this because that's Brian and I started around the turn of the new millennia, and things are so much different now just in our 20 years. But it seemed like the 90s were this weird stasis where a lot of things were evolving and changing and a lot of things are being dropped off. And I don't know a lot of people who tattooed in the 90s. It just seems you started either in the 70s or 80s or in the early aughts, and there was nothing in the 90s. It seemed like there was all this evolution going on. So if you can talk to us about that.
in my opinion, I mean, magazines were in the beginning, when I started tattooing, the only way you could see tattoos at that time were like Outlaw Biker, some of those spin-offs of biker magazines that had tattoos. And then eventually they started making a tattoo magazine at some point, right? Prior to magazines, where did people see tattoos? You actually had to go into a shop.
Yeah.
So you get to the magazines, you're seeing a little bit. That one convention's touring around, National Tattoo Association, right? Used to have their convention and everybody would go and do that. But in the 90s, I mean, first of all, through the years, styles change and migrate and started because more artists started getting into tattooing. So in the earlier years, they only had certain needle groups. They're doing traditional style because that's what worked, right?
Yeah.
Then somebody's like, well, what if we use less needles? Maybe we can do a finer line, So in the 70s, it was back then, Good Time Charlie, Jack Rudy, those guys, they're like, hey, let's just do black and let's try to make pictures, like people and stuff like that. So there's been migrations over the years, but in the 90s, TV shows came, right?
Yeah.
So the first tattooed TV show, and when it starts popping up on your TV screen, it not only makes it okay, right? All of a sudden, people who were afraid to get tattooed are getting tattooed. People who didn't know anything about it are saying, I want to do that. I want to learn that. I can take my style and do that.
Wow.
So it started this big growth of not only styles, but who was coming into the tattoo business and things like that, and the acceptance for the clients. You had a couple here and there, say, prominent people getting tattooed back in the day, but all of a sudden, oh my gosh, it's on TV. It's okay for me. I can get it, and it just exploded at that time.
Yeah. I remember I started my apprenticeship just before like all the TV shows like came out. And I remember the first time I seen it was some lady, her and her sister came in. They were probably in their 60s. I'm like, you need to get the fuck out of here, man. Like, this is not safe for you. There's a dude shooting up in the back, and I'm pretty sure they sell drugs out in the basement and guns. I'm like, you probably need to go. And they're like, but we've seen it on the TV show. It's just so, I'm like, nah, go down the street.
Yeah, the other shop maybe. But yeah, it's that evolution. I mean, in between the biker magazines and the tattoo, the tattoo shows, there was the tattoo magazines, so they started going to the conventions and into shops and putting out these actual tattoo magazines and tattoo books.
Yeah.
I mean, the books that Ed Hardy was doing, and there's so many. The Historian came out from Chuck Eldridge around then. He was writing that little pamphlet that would come out all the time. That was really cool. And the National Tattoo Association book. And Shotzi Gorman did the Advocate, right?
Yeah.
So those, you could buy those in bookstores, so that transition was right before TV.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. And it became like mainstream, from that point.
I forgot about that. Yeah, the first shop I ever went to, I was 10 years old, and it was a 21st Century Tattoo in Portland, Oregon. I guess they got blown up later, but
yeah, that was coming in those days.
And I remember just like all of the kitsch that was available at that time. Like when we came and sat down, it's like it's a huge place too, just wide open space, open concept, just little cubicles for a couple people who are working. And I remember that the table in the waiting area was just lined with magazines.
Yeah, and, exactly. Yeah.
What is all this stuff? And then they had this pen that was in the shape of like a tattoo machine that would bounce up and down. And I stepped out. I was like, I want that. And he's like, here. I went home,
cute.
Ran all the ink out of that stuff, and then promptly hit puberty and forgot all about tattooing. But I do remember just that spread of all those magazines. I thought it was so weird. And then they started to die off like towards the beginning, like the early aughts. And then now I don't see, like, when you walk into a shop, I don't see magazines anymore. I don't see anything.
No, because along came MySpace. MySpace, that happened, and TV shows, and then MySpace, then Facebook, the Instagram, right, and so on and so on. But the phone became, anybody can pick up their phone and look at whatever tattoo they want to find. They can search anybody, so they don't need the magazines anymore. So it's become very difficult for the people who publish the magazines to keep that going, just like newspapers have fallen off so much, right? All of that, because it's at our hand, and we don't have to, run down to the bookstore anymore and search for those magazines anymore. We don't have to do that, which is sad in a way, because, in that form, you can hold on to it, and go back to it and read those things again that you did, or somebody did back in the, 70s, 80s. It's pretty cool to open those pages again.
Yeah, totally. I wrote for Skin and Ink for a while. And as interesting, I go back and get some of the things, and I'm like, oh yeah, fucking A, let's throw it in the closet. Just go back on my phone. It's like
exactly.
I miss going down the magazine aisles. They used to be huge. Remember, like in the stores, you go and had everything, and you have to rifle through, wait for that issue you're going for and stuff. It was like you had some yearning and wanting and waiting. You'd like earn that space. And when you got it, was like 1995. Like, this is not worth that. Fuck it, I'll buy it anyways.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and the prior to search engines and all that in our computers, we would spend all our time off just going to different bookstores and traveling, looking for reference, driving to different cities and, what does this bookstore have? And, finding those ones that had those old books just piled high, right?
Yeah.
Rifling through those for hours, finding, creating the best, reference library, right? Yeah. And then when you were drawing, you're like, okay, I got to find this, find that book, right? That had that one picture you remember you saw, and use that for reference. But that migrated too, so there's so many changes.
Yeah, it was like the filing cabinets. You used to like have every drawing or every stencil, and you'd have them organized by different types, and you just keep every one because you don't know if I'm going to need to use this again, right? We'll go over the heart drawer.
They did have that. Yeah, we have a bunch of those old acetate stencils all over our wall. We got them all framed up and have those hanging. And, at that time, I think they just had them thrown in drawers and just kind of like, dig for it. Right? Where did I put that? But yeah.
What's acetate?
Migrated from that. I mean, the type of stencils have changed so much, the way we do that. And now it's like, go to your computer, it prints out right over there,
Yeah. But they still won't remake those fucking 3M stencil machines. You still got to go back.
The best one, right?
The best one.
What's the best one?
It's like $4,500. Oh, it is?
Is it Echo? Epson.
Oh, the Epson? Oh, the bubble jet one? Yeah.
Yeah, the Epson's pretty good. But, I still prefer when I can to just pull out Sharpies, Yeah.
That goes to our question. Brian had a question for you, and I think that works well with the Sharpies.
I was just working through flashbacks of being a shitbag little kid when I was like 12, stealing tattoo magazines from the fucking gas station or something.
Yeah.
But America wants to know, Kari, how many octopuses have you tattooed in your career so far?
I think I get asked that question almost every day because I probably do. Okay, so they're bigger pieces. So I work 5 days a week. I probably work on octopus at least 3 of those days.
Jeez.
So
wow.
But I can only tattoo these days about 4.5 hours a day. So a sleeve will, it'll take me, they'll come like 2 days in a row, like once a month, so it'll take me a few months to get that done. But how many have I done? There's hundreds.
That's awesome.
I was just looking up and I totally forgot, like, when did I do my first octopus? And I did this back piece on a guy named Tracy Whitman he was 18 years old. And he came in and his first tattoo was just, bam, do this, right? And then he's like, I want my back done,
Jeez.
So I want my whole back done. And he wanted a samurai. And so I did this like charging samurai. And there's like, it looks more like a kraken, but it's a kraken octopus thing he was fighting, right? And that was in the late 80s. When I did that. So that was the first one.
Nice.
And then there was another really prominent one I did on this guy named Nash. He got his whole arm done. He did a lightning thing. Everybody knows it because there was like a big lightning thing on one arm and this octopus on the other arm.
Yeah.
And all in color. And that was in the early 90s. And so that was kind of the start of it. And then I, would be a few years and I'd do another one. And then all of a sudden, this guy came in and he wanted his whole leg done, big octopus. And I'm like, this is cool, and I did it all in black and gray. And I started migrating into black and gray at that time. And something just hit, right? Like, this is the most fun thing to tattoo.
Nice.
Like, I just was like, dang, here it is. Like, holy crap, this is fun. I want to do this again. And while I was working on that, the Natural History Museum LA decided to do an exhibition on tattoo, right? It started in Paris. So the Kay Branley Museum in Paris did an exhibition called Tattoo. So it started to travel and it came to the Natural History Museum here in LA. And this exhibition was huge. So they called us up and they're like, hey, can we borrow some things from your studio? We want to do an exhibition on the Pike area, starting Long Beach, LA, and the history of tattoo in the area. So they came in and they're packing up all this stuff. And one of the curators says to me, shoot, we don't have any women in the exhibition. You know, we really want to highlight women. Would you tattoo this silicone arm for us? And I'm like, do you have to ask me that? Because yes, I'm going to do that. Like, how do I do that? That sounds cool, right? So they have these body parts. I don't know if you've ever seen this exhibition, but now they have them everywhere. But at the time they didn't. You know, this is in 2016. Mm-hmm. So they asked me, what would you tattoo on it? And I said, an octopus. Nice. You know, I'm doing an octopus. And she's like, that's perfect because we're the Natural History Museum. It couldn't be any better than to do something like that. So they created this piece in France. They shipped it out, comes in this big crate. You know, you tattoo the whole thing and then you ship it to the Natural History Museum, came and picked it up. It's actually property, though, of the Kay Branley Museum in Paris, right?
Holy shit. That's
so
awesome.
At the time they had a dozen of them. They were all done by guys, but it was like, you know, Guy Aitchison, Leo Zuleta, Tintin from Paris. Gosh, you know, I'm going to forget all these important names. Oh, Philip Liu, you know, all these different people, right? And I was the first woman. And so I was just super excited about that. And they had paintings, though, from Titine Liu, and they focused on the history of women from indigenous times, you know, and their tattoos and what they meant in different, you know, regions and countries and all of that. So it was super exciting. But doing that octopus, everybody went to the museum, right? So all of a sudden, can I get an octopus? Can I get an octopus?
Oh, that's cool.
So that's 2016. So I've been constantly doing an octopus since 2016, for sure.
And you enjoy it.
Yeah, I love it.
That's awesome.
I absolutely love it. Yeah.
I was just thinking we should contact like a Guinness Book of World Record and just be like, this is the one person that's done the most octopus tattoos.
I'm gonna have to look back in time and add them up. Wouldn't that be fun? That would be kind of cool.
Awesome. You get a plaque, you can hang over. Be like, yeah, I'm a master.
On octopus. That's right. Yeah, I got to do on Tattoo Smart. You guys use that? Yeah, Procreate. I got to do the octopus tentacle set. You know,
nice.
Yeah, it was rad.
Really cool,
yeah, that was pretty cool. So, yeah, that was the beginning of that. That's gone big time too, right? Tattoo Smart pens and yeah,
it's amazing. Everyone's moved. I think like Brian and I are still kind of split. Like I've got paper artwork and stuff all around here, but the tablets now. It's just like it's changed so much. I was the holdout up until last year. I was like, you can't. No, I'm not going to do this shit. And I'm not going to use a rotary machine. And you guys can all bite my ass. And then I fucking got a rotary machine and bought a tablet. And wait, this is nice. I don't have to carry around 60 pounds of art supplies anymore. So.
Yeah, I think I was pretty holdout on that too. Like I was all against the rotaries for a long time, and then I went to. My son and I were working at a convention in London, and Cheyenne showed up, you know, and they're like, hey, will you try these? And I'm like, I have no idea how to use that, you know? And they go, we'll set it up for you and you can both try them for the day. So I tried it. By the end of the day, I looked at Jeremiah and I said, I don't want to give mine back. Do you want to give yours back? You know? And he's like, no, I don't want to give it back. Because just the weight alone, you know, my hands were killing me, you know, like tattooing so long, you know, it's so hard on your body, right? So I'm like, okay, if I could tattoo with this every day, maybe I could go longer, you know? I can tattoo longer in my life, and it saved me.
That's
You
neat.
know, yeah.
I fucking hate rotaries still.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. It's slow.
Yeah.
They're so slow in comparison, at least with like my hand speed and stuff. And I crank my coil up and just move through things.
After the program, I'll tell you about a
learning
couple machines you should try. Okay.
Okay.
I probably shouldn't plug on here. So afterwards, I'll tell you about a couple machines to give a look at. All right.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
I've got my notepad here.
Okay.
And
all right. I don't know what you're using, but
oh, I've got yeah, we do shout outs to some machines. I've got like a Corey Rogers machine for my coil. I've got a couple like Icon machines from like 15, 16 years ago or something. And then I bought like two $40 machines off Amazon, and they grind. I love those coils.
I've heard that.
Yeah. And then I bought a Dragon Hawk, just like a cheap rotary that's adjustable. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We've talked about it a lot, and I think the healing is a bit different, at least with like the application, because like the actual like this the science of insertion within the skin when using a rotary versus a coil is different. Like the amount of pigment that's deposited is less, and so it's required to, at least in like how I use it, I'm required to put in more effort to get the same amount of saturation. You know, so
scientifically, you think the ink, it's not as much ink. Why do you feel that
So with the start stop on the coil was a whip crack motion. It actually will carry and shoot in some pigments. It's just a higher quantity and volume, depending on, especially the angle of insertion when you're going into it. While the rotary is technically pushing and then, hydrolocking using hydraulic motion to pull it in. So if I run it the same way at the same hand speed, I guess at the same CPS / like rotational stuff, we've done tests. The amount of or quantity of pigment that goes in is less. There's actually a guy right now in Adira that we had on the show as well. I helped him with his set up his PhD. He's testing all of the physics of actual insertion of pigments based on needle strikes going into
That's totally interesting. And I'd like to see it with these new machines, these couple I'll tell you about later, but they're pretty punchy.
It was like the Vlad,
Yeah, I think that, the science has changed a little bit with rotaries. Like, even compared to the first one I tried was very mellow. It was very, delicate, kind of like, to get jam and color.
Remember the cord on the initial? It was just like this little wire.
Crazy
what the
stuff.
fuck is this thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like totally against them in the beginning, but now I'm like, we still have people who use coils in our shop. We have several people who cannot make the transition. They feel the same way. They're just like that strength and the power, and they're used to it. But I think a lot of people I know initially switched just because they needed to tattoo longer. Their hands are hurting. That weight, right?
Yeah. I'm fat, kind of a big dude, so that shit doesn't bother me. I'm like, this is only 8 ounces. What's wrong with this? People like, I work with 2 ladies at the shop like one season, Brian's seen season. She's like 90 pounds, She's like 4'11", 90 pounds. And she's in the coil and she's just like, Jesus.
So
I'm like,
heavy.
Yeah. I'm like, it's only 10 ounces. It's fine.
I know. It's just a Coke can, Put a Coke can on the back of a pencil, right?
Yeah. And then you have the offset with the big grips, right? So you have a 2-pound knurled grip. That'll offset this stuff. So you're just holding this lead weight while you tattoo. It's like,
there's a big change, right? I mean, those, the old school tubes that they used to use were just tiny little skinny like a pencil, and you're just like, claw hand holding that thing,
Remember that?
Now it's like, now you're like this, right? Kids color crayons,
Yeah. I still use the 3/8 grips. Everyone looks at me like I'm insane. So I'm just sit there and do that.
Well, it'll catch you in a few years, I'm telling you.
We come out our credit.
Yeah. Just like I do that sometimes. I'll work like 12 hours or something. I'm just like, all right, fold the hand back, and it's just naturally wants to close up. Just put it over your knee for like 30 minutes. You're like, it'll be all right. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
As long as it just conforms to the machine, I can use my arm and it'll be fine.
It'll get stuck there someday.
That's cool. Well, I guess I pull into this one. Like, how have you stayed healthy and like able to work for this amount of time?
Well, yeah, I don't know if I stayed healthy, but it's kind of like, how can you best slow it down, right? How can you best slow it down? So I strongly believe I did, prior to hurting my knee, I was doing yoga all the time, a lot of yoga, my foam roller. I oftenly, what's your best tool you have? It's my foam roller, absolutely foam rollering my back and keeping things loosened up, right? Helps a lot. There's a lot of hand exercises you can do, that help, all that stuff, even to the chest. And, I've learned over time that things like working on strengthening the muscles that keep you upright, like your back muscles and stuff like that, But I also used to be a very power tattoo artist. I used to work super fast, and in the early days, we would tattoo and not stop. You didn't stop unless you had to use the restroom. People fed me while I worked, right? Like they're feeding, pieces of sandwich into my mouth, so I don't have to have my client take a break, or, doing, like you said, 12 hours on a person, you just keep going. So that's changed, you take a break. I take a break every couple hours, and I get up and I walk a minute, straighten up, use the restroom, get on the foam roller just for a second. My breaks are, 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Just really quick, but enough to reset my body so I can go back to it, and do my hands. But I've actually gotten to where now my stretching hand is my biggest problem, right? So I wear a brace under my glove to help my stretching hand, because it's 44 years into it, this thing kills me if I don't, right? So it limits my movement but still allows me to stretch. But my biggest thing is try to think about, not right now, not your body right now, but what's going to happen if you don't do some of this stuff, if you don't do some sort of workout, some sort of stretching, keeping your body moving. It's going to catch up, it is. And you can ask, not myself, but I'll tell you that, but everybody who's my age or older is like, Jesus Christ, I wish I would have known. I wish somebody would have told me to strengthen my muscles and to stretch,
That's me and Brian. Brian is, like, in the past, like 2 years, has gotten so healthy. It's just like a monster. And as he's done that, I've just started to drink more. That's kind of my way of working.
Yeah, well, that's okay too. A little bit of that, right? That's the other thing, right? I just have a little wine every night. That helps loosen you up a little bit.
I had like 12 shots of tequila last night, so I'm all right.
Oh gosh, yeah. The old days. Yeah.
It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm like, all right, cool, good to go now.
Oh man.
I think that realistically, it should just be taught as part of learning for tattooing nowadays to just fucking exercise a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's true. Absolutely true.
Yeah. That segues perfect into that next question. I was going to say, is like, what do you think's messing with education and tattooing right now? Yeah,
that's a huge part of it. A huge part of it is those kind of things. So when I train somebody, I incorporate that. I'm like, okay, you got to do yoga, you got to do these stretches, and I train people kind of weird. So I don't train a lot of people. In my early days, I trained a few, but I took a huge break because I've had some bad experiences with apprentices, so I got to a point where I'm not doing this anymore. And then we had a young girl come through our shop who was shop help, and I'm like, okay, she's got too much potential to not train her, So I trained her, and it starts out very slowly. Like, okay, we're gonna learn we're gonna strengthen your hands first. I'm not gonna give you a tattoo machine. Start drawing on paper. Get off your iPad for a minute, right? Get on the paper, and then I start strengthening her hand by taping like a AA battery to the pencil. Then you go to a C, then a D, right? And then just adding weight to the pencil. strengthen the hand, do your yoga, do your stretches, do all that. The other thing that's missing, learning where you came from. I think the history, a lot of the new people they want to be all by themselves. They want to be in a private little studio all alone, which is good for a lot of people, right? I see that. I can totally see the benefits of that. I think it's great. But I think if everybody does that, the community feel kind of gets lost, unless you keep in contact and kind of keep relearning and teaching yourself, but yeah, I think the community, is, being lost. I mean, I mentioned that we used to have that one convention a year, and people came from all over the nation to go to the one show, right? So now we have, we have a convention in this town over here this weekend. Next week, you can go to this town, 20 minutes here, and that town the weekend after, and they're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many conventions. So the community doesn't get together the way it used to. That's missing.
There's a lot of competition now. We were talking about that, I think, was a couple shows ago, where we have like the locals, the regionals, the nationals, and the internationals. And every tattooer now is an award-winning artist. You don't know where they got their awards from, It's like if you had an award back in the day, you went to like an NTA show and you took in like best in show, like that was massive. And now it's like, I can go down to Poughkeepsie or something and get best in show from the small regional, and it's like
yeah, it's true. There's a lot of little tiny conventions, little tiny shows where there is a lot of people winning, who you're like, I've never heard of that person, whereas over here you see like that is an absolutely fantastic, beautiful tattoo, and then you're like, that's the same award, right?
Yeah, totally.
So there is that, it happens, and I don't think we can stop that, and I don't think, it's impossible now to go back to where it was and bring everybody to a national type of convention. It's pretty impossible.
Scrutinize and humiliate people enough. Just me.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'm the worst at that. We were joking last night, actually. I was talking to a couple of people, and somebody said something about, when I have a couple of drinks in me, then you're going to hear the truth, right? And I'm like, oh my God, wouldn't that be terrible if you were at a convention, you had a couple of drinks, and everybody started telling the truth? What do you think about my tattoo? Oh, ask me tomorrow. Ask me tomorrow, right?
I think the last convention I went to was a smaller regional one, and everyone was doing cocaine in the bathroom, so that was fun.
Oh God! Wow.
A toilet candy lined up on the top. Like, you want to hit? I'm like, no. I'm gonna go get back to work and never go potty in here ever again.
Yeah, there you go. Never go potty.
Just fucking head down and work, right? Jeez.
Yeah.
What happened with the NTA? I heard that like National's closing down now after being open.
Yeah, well, they did conventions, right? But then their conventions grew and grew and grew. There were so many, so it was hard for them to do that. And then also the supply business, they were a major supplier. There was only a couple at the time, Ernie Crawford had a supply, and Spalding Rogers and National, there was only a couple of those. So that's where everybody went. And then, somebody says, well, I'm going to prolong my career. I'm going to start a supply company. I'm going to start a supply company. I'm going to start a supply company, and so on and so on. So there's so many, it's just like tattoo shops also. And if you have one shop in your area, you're going to have a better living than if you have 20. It's just the way it is, right?
Or like Portland, where we have 1,200.
Yeah, there's a ton. I know.
So many up here.
I got a couple of, I have an apprentice he was my apprentice way back, and he owns a shop, Atomic Tattoo, up in your area.
Oh, yeah.
And one of my other people who work with me, Mickey Colmus, Miss Mickey, she has Fortune Tattoo up there.
Yeah.
They both used to work for me, in beautiful area, I love it. Yeah, absolutely love it up there. Just rains a little bit much for me, but super pretty.
That's what it's like right now. It is gray. It's just like,
but national, they have those two things against them, right? The convention went, it's all the same story. It's just like with tattoo shops, the number of them, you can't always keep competing, and not everybody's going to continue to make it. Yeah, right. Shops are going to drop off, just like conventions are going to drop off. Suppliers are going to drop off. Yeah. It is what it is. It's sad, but Ed Hardy used to say, he told me this one time. I remember shops started popping up everywhere, and he's like, the good ones they'll stay. The good ones will stay. But I think that's changed now, because now it has a lot to do with not only whether you're good or not, but your location, your prices, your personality. How are you with your clients when you come in the door? How are you being treated? And are you a movie star or not?
Right.
I mean, it has a lot to do with it. Like if you're
Instagram
TV,
famous or not.
Yeah, if you're Instagram huge, or if you're TV huge, you got a lot more going for you than somebody who's doing fabulous work who isn't as known. So
that's so funny.
I would make fun of my own career because I'm known by tattoo artists and no one else.
Yeah,
I got rid of all of my social media a couple weeks ago. I'm just like, I'm not doing it. We just opened this shop in Portland, and it's kind of set up. I'm in an office building, so it's not even a retail space. It's not, it's nothing. It's kind of like a Japanese type of setup, back where you have to you can't find this place either. We don't have cell phone reception here.
Right.
It's like tucked away. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got rid of it because I still have never booked people off of social media. Never. Everything is always word of mouth with me. I don't know.
Yeah, how do I do that? I get a couple of things. Instagram, I check on there, but most of mine's just direct through the email still, Yeah, I prefer that. I don't want to have to check every avenue, so I try to kind of narrow it all into my email and have it all in one spot. I do it there. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you miss the old paper ledgers? I don't know if you use digital booking and stuff now or not.
I do. Yeah. We use the Google Calendar and all of that. I don't let people go on and book their own appointments. I do. I kind of want to filter that out because I don't want to do everything, right? I want to do all octopus, right?
Yeah.
So,
right on.
And jellyfish and sea life and kelp. No, I do other things too, but there's a lot of things I don't do. I'm not good at everything, so I don't want to end up tattooing something that somebody I know can do a better job of. You don't
ever just wake up in the morning and be like, man, I want to fucking tattoo a rad reaper today or something. Just be like,
gosh, that's so funny because I've had people reach out to me and say, will you tattoo this off your flash from 1982? And everybody at the shop's like, do it. Come on, do it. Right. And I'm like, oh my God, I really don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. Right. But
that's so awesome.
Maybe I'll have a day where I'm going to do that would be kind of funny. I'm going to have a flash day and I'm only going to tattoo off my flash from 1983. Right. Or something like that.
100 people lined up outside right when you open the doors.
So great. I might have to do that.
Have people feeding you sandwiches while you're working and stuff. Just be setting up tomato stands. Yeah. Just
you'll be like 3 hours into that and regret this decision.
Yes. Probably at the first one, I would regret that because I'm like,
all the breakdown.
Line work.
So you need your sharps container.
My style have changed so much. Back then I used to do a lot of color, of course, but also a lot of Japanese inspired stuff, anime inspired stuff. I mean, I was doing anime cartoon things, portraits, all that stuff, but everything in color back in the 80s,
Yeah.
And that migration, I finally got to a point where I need a break from color for a little bit. So I'm just going to do black and gray, for a while. And I'm starting to do a little more color again, but sometimes you just need change. I used to do, millions of animals during the 90s, like tigers.
Yeah.
I think I did so many tigers, it was just tiger after tiger after tiger. And finally I said, okay, I'm going to stop doing tigers for a couple of years, And that's happened with everything I did a lot of, but it has not happened with octopus. So I like that because they can go anywhere. I can do anything with them. It's so flowy, right?
Yeah. You see, like over time, your style is evolved to being like, in my opinion, looking at stuff, it looks like it's going to be more hardy and last longer. Like your stuff looks more open, it's more breathable. Like a lot of the technical execution of the stuff I've looked at, your more recent stuff, from my perspective, is just on point. It's really awesome. Into like chop shading and like doubling up on lines in specific spots, and like where to leave the skin that is going to soften or lighten over time and stuff, to create that really like 3D image, especially at like the 5 foot mark when you're looking at stuff. That's just rad. It's like, have you paid a lot of attention to like how you've developed your technique and how you're applying things because you can just focus on one thing over the years, or has this just been like a natural kind of like artistic
I don't pay
evolution?
attention at all. I just sit down and go, Actually, it's kind of true because I just zone out, and it just, people ask me like sometimes like, how do you do that, or how do you lay that out? And honestly, it just happens. Like if I sketch on an octopus, let's say, I will use that a lot because it's a good reference, but I draw a couple lines just for the client, basically, because it's like, where's it going to go? And I'm like, I don't know, I don't know, when they sit down and then I look at their body or wherever it's going to go, and I'm like, okay, I picture the head here, and so I'll remember that, right? But I'm not doing that first. I always start with tentacles, almost always, because the tentacles come forward, so I'm do a couple tentacles, I'll complete that section. They come back the next time, I'll draw another section and another section. So I don't have a plan.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of just like leave more open and make sure there's some black, right? Yeah. Make sure there's some middle tones and make sure there's some areas with nothing, and so it all balances out, over all that. And I'll just kind of, as I'm doing it, just like, okay, that area is dark, let's make this area lighter, that kind of thing. But I don't pre-plan it. I find that I do better when I don't. If I pre-plan it and I put it on the skin, I'm like, it doesn't look like you want it to, right? Because you drew it flat.
Yeah, it's 2D.
Yeah.
As soon as you hit that other thing, it's just,
it changes. And I'm missing muscle tone I could be utilizing, or veins that are there, or wow, you got this crazy muscle. I want to make sure I use that, to pop the tattoo if I can. If it's more organic, it's going to be a lot better, right?
Yeah. That's so neat. It's like looking at back pieces and people take the small of the back to put the most forward-facing aspect of the entire design there. I'm like, why did you do that? That doesn't make any sense. And they're like, look at the design here. Portraits on really skinny people. It looks great on paper, and then all of a sudden it's like, they just get a shrunken, skinny face.
I know.
Dude,
I know.
Think about where
we have an artist at our shop. She's actually my business partner now, but she's like an expert in lettering. She does that really. She looks like a printer. She works like a printer. It's just perfect, right? And people come in and they're like, "Oh, I want it here. I want it here." And she's like, "It needs to go right here." It just needs to go here. And the reason being is, and she'll explain all those things. Like move your arm around and look at it. Always stays perfect. If we put it this way, it's always going to look crooked. Right? It's going to do that, right? So she finds these, particular spots on whatever body, just looking at their body, and it's the same thing. And my son Jeremiah, he does a bio, like geekery stuff. Same thing. Like, how could he ever draw that on paper? It's got to be drawn on the muscles, on the skin. It's got to flow that body. There's no way that you could draw that up on an iPad and then put it on the skin and have it work.
Yeah. I guess what I worked with Adexa Stern out in the Mission for a while, And hearing her philosophy on how to apply stuff was kind of the same way. You know, she's like, the body will tell me what I want. Well, she says it very German accent. Yes, the body could tell me what it wants, right? I'm like, all right, cool, dude.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, yeah, that was neat. I was trying to think about
like
other
that.
things. Yeah. I don't understand. Yeah, a lot of stuff now that we're seeing is this 2D XY plane, and people are taking it and they're trying to make it look like a sticker that's been applied to the body. And it's not.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Have we seen this maybe come in and out of fashion, over the years? Because you can see like some of the flash, different times.
I think those have been called like badge tattoos at some point, right? Those one-timer like things. I don't personally like to do those, and a lot of people really love to do that. And a lot of people like to get those. And I think in some way or another, they've come in and out of fashion. But I think in the early days, that's all there was, mostly. Yeah. And then they'd put a lot of those together and then put little stars or something in between, like
asterisks all over the body.
Yeah, so I think that that's where that comes from. But there are those people who only want one tattoo or two tattoos, so it works for them. It totally works for them, but it's not going to work. Then you come in and it's like, okay, I want a sleeve now, right? And I got that tattoo right there in the middle of it, and what do I do with it? How do I make it work with the sleeve, right?
Yeah, that's something I try to talk about with everyone. Are you planning on getting more than one tattoo? Is there an even theme that's going to be working with this? Do you understand like interactions with the design? Like where somebody standing in relation to you is going to change how they interact with that piece. Like that's going to inform people. Can we answer as many stupid questions right now with the design so you're not being asked for 30 years, what's that? Which I'm fucking...
Yeah, I've definitely have that in my past. I mean, I've seen some of my early stuff, and I'm like, ooh, geez, God, what is it? Like that used to be like four warriors, right? And the faces are like this big, right? And they're just all blurred together, and fuzzy. I always tell everybody, so the first time I did this colored detail-y thing. So I was learning to tattoo at the time, and I tattooed my younger sister, right? And she wanted a bluebird on a branch, with the sun in the background, little flowery sky. So the whole tattoo is as big as a quarter, right? I'm not kidding. So I took the single needle and I did the total bluebird, all detailed, in the little branch, and the thing, and it looked good for a minute. And it looked really good, it was like, for the time, it was super detailed, and now it looks like somebody took chalk and went, it's just, it's a disaster, it looks, you can't even tell there was ever a tattoo there, it's just so funny, fuzzy, dude. Blurry, gone little bits of smeary color, and I try to tell people when they come in, I'm like, I know this is going to look great for a couple years, right? It's going to look great for a couple years and you're going to love it. And then there's going to be a point where you're like, why did I do that? Why did I do it so small? Because it's fantastic right now, but it's going to spread. There's no way around it. There's no way, so it's a choice. Do you want to get it and have it look great for a couple of years, or do you want to have it look as good as it can for the length of your body? The time that you're here on Earth. Do you want to, 20 years from now, be able to recognize what that is?
Do you see that happening a lot with like the younger people? I'm guessing like younger artists and stuff now. Like we've talked about this at length on the show, but like the microdization of everything is becoming smaller and smaller and more detailed. It's not really applied to the skin, and you just know it's not built to like match the substrate that they're working with. They're trying to work off of something else. So
and it looks amazing. A lot of it looks fantastic, and it's so detailed, and the artists, a lot of them are so talented, right? And doing this amount of detail in this amount of space, and it's so stunning, but then we know that's going to change, we know that, so I'm hoping, my hope is that the artist is counseling the client and telling them that, like, this is beautiful now, but this will happen,
I hope so.
I
hope
crushed
so.
all those hopes.
Yeah, that's what we hope, right?
It's like as soon as people started being called canvases, and I don't know, it's like my argument on this stuff. You get that depersonalization, the
I don't like
attachment.
it. Yeah.
No, I hate that. It just
Mm-hmm.
bothers me. Like you just
I
sit there,
hate it
shut
too.
up, and do this. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a
Yeah.
couple people come in and tell me, I want to be your canvas, and I'm like, don't use the word. I don't like it. I don't. You're a human being. It's not that you're a canvas, and it matters to me that you like what you get.
Yeah.
I want you're wearing it. I'm not. So
signing
it's
your
not
name
my
on
tattoo.
tattoos.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I've had people ask me to do that. I've done it a couple times in my early years, but usually I'm like, what is your wife going to think about it, or what is your husband, or somebody someday is going to be upset by that.
Yeah.
Right?
Grandmother. What's your grandmother going to think?
Yeah, grandmother. Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh,
yeah,
that's wild. Well, that's really cool. I don't know if that's maybe just what's because of the TV shows. Like as I wrote that question about commodification of stuff. Like we've taken tattooing has kind of become like a fast fashion thing now, where people think it's not permanent. Like we can get it lasered off, which is not safe. We can do all of this stuff, and it's just temporary. Like Brian sent me an article about that startup where they had the ink that was sure to degrade and fade away in 12 months time, and it's not.
Oh.
Turns out
the
it's
invisible tattoo.
Yeah,
the invisible ink, right? That too. Yeah, all those things, like even the glow in the dark stuff. I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't do that at the beginning, because I tried it on a couple people, right? But like then I started thinking about, gosh, how dangerous is this? This is not safe in the body. It can't be. It cannot be safe. So people, things like that, I'm like, I don't think it's a great idea. It's hard, because we have so many types of people and personalities of people in the business. Everybody's going to do their thing, and that's what we want that in the world. We want everybody to be an individual and be safe and be able to do what they want. But also, we have to consider the fact that we're working on someone else. It's a collaboration in its own way. It's right. It's their tattoo. It's their idea. It's what they're wearing, and it's for them. It's not it. I'm doing it and I want to do my best job, but it's not for me. It's not for my photo, although that photo is important to me for my business, right? And getting more work. They walk out the door. It belongs to them. It's part of them. It's what they represent. So it's hard for me sometimes when I, think about that. It's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah. We said Brian and I were we started the show like a year ago, and I think at the start of that I was doing that heavy duty consultation process with people. We were taking people. Brian's already laughing. It was ridiculous, right? Like I have some people even right now I've been working with for 18 months to try and distill down the empathy of design, because they're not visual in their brain, right? They're visual like physically, and they have the feeling that they're trying to achieve with design. And so through my process, which is just it's overboard, try to remove all of my bias and just be a funnel for them, right? So it's just technical application only. I'll tell you, it's tough. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I could just blast some flash for the rest of the time. But the outcomes I've seen when people have more control over their things, they're not treated like a canvas. It's just better. Like they enjoy the piece more. They're engaged more. It's like they have ownership of it then. It's not just you owning a part of them. Like they are a part of it as well.
It can get overwhelming because sometimes you're going to have people bring you their reference, and you only have so much time to read the book. It's like,
oh God, yeah. Oh God, yeah.
And I mean, I want to do the best job I can, but I have to tell people, okay, I can't. I don't really. It's not that I don't care. I don't have the time to read all of that. So let's narrow it down and tell me, what does it mean? Briefly, it's a briefly, and well, what are you looking to have done? And then we can, I don't want to, I could never do that. What you're doing, 18 months to figure the design out. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, it turns into a therapy session. We have a lot of people who've, once they started hearing about the process, is what we call it now, who've suffered like some major trauma, and they're trying to work through it as a way of doing that. So it's turned into like this therapy thing. We work with like Shared Hope, like covering brands and like sex trafficking tattoos and stuff. So there's like very
well, it's a different thing.
Yeah, and then just normal clients like you're about to like, this is great, I want to figure it out, but it starts to, like, on my client side, it starts to narrow out the type of people I can actually work with, because it's just like this thing.
That's
where
true.
I don't have some 19-year-old kid coming in and just like, I want to get a skull on my neck. Like, no one talks to me about that stuff. So I wish.
No. Yeah, we had a museum down here in our area called MOLA Museum, Museum of Latin American Art. Mm-hmm. They did an exhibition called Ink, and this is kind of would have been in your field. So what they did is they took traumatized people who had traumatizing events in their life, whatever that may be, and they had them come in, and everybody wrote in and told their stories, and they picked 6 of them. Yeah. And then they took them through the library of the museum and let them look through all the catalog of art.
Oh, wow.
And pick out, 6 things that represent your feeling about this event, or what the traumatizing thing was, right? And then they took those people and chose 6 tattoo artists, and each tattoo artist read the story and looked at the art and connected to a certain person. Oh, right. So 6 artists, 6 clients. And then the artist and the client got together and did basically what you do. Yeah. And we tried to filter it down to the meaning of a healing idea that brought them out of that bad feeling or bad situation and created in a tattoo. And then we did that at the museum.
Oh, that's awesome. Like live.
Yeah, it was super cool. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was super cool. And then they, showed the art and what was created for the tattoo and had the person's story. And then they filmed us, while we were doing it. And the person was telling their story and we told our story. And there was so much crying, just horrible events that some of these people have been through,
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a really great storytelling type of way to share tattoo, but it relates to what you do.
Day?
God, no. I mean, we do a lot of that in our business in general, right? There's a lot of that, a lot of it, but every day I think it must weigh super heavy on your, your emotional soul. Like I'm a pretty sensitive person, so I would have so much weight with that.
Why do you think I'm an alcoholic?
I would feel so good about helping the people. It's like, I've done over the years I used to do a ton of areola reconstruction, and on cancer patients, and that was so satisfying. Or, covering scars from traumatizing events and things like that. I've done a lot of those, and those stories just bring you to tears. Yeah. But a lot of the tattoos we do, like portraits of past people and the stories connected to that. There's so many things that are so emotional. And for me, when I'm tattooing, those emotions from the person, I soak that. Yeah, I soak that up. And I know a lot of artists do, it's like if they're feeling that heavy weight, it just soaks right into you, so it's really hard. I can't imagine having to every single day do that. I would have to just be like, cleansing bath, afterwards. Yeah.
Brian, just going.
There's a cool part about the like weird autistic brain that I have where I'm not an empath. So it matters to me.
Yeah, there you go. That's what you need.
Awesome, dude. Yeah.
But neat. I do have to jump off of here. It's 11:35 my time, and I got to get set up and stuff for my appointments.
Okay. So, it was nice to see you. Nice to chat.
It's been great chatting with you. look forward to listening to the rest of the podcast if you guys record more, and hopefully you have an awesome day.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'm heading off on a bicycle ride afterwards. It's my day off today.
Nice.
So yeah. Work my knee, that dancing thing.
Yeah, right on, dude.
All right, guys.
Yeah, see you.
See you later.
Are you cool still talking with me just for a few more minutes?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thanks, dude. That was good. Yeah, it's nice hearing someone else say that they feel that, right? And I spent so much time trying to come up with a method to try and I guess combat what I was seeing happening in the industry, where everyone was doing this canvasization, if that's a word or whatever, of the clients. And it was just like, man, this is not the right way to do it. You have to connect somewhat with the person you're working with, because my specialty is polishing turds. So I used to do reworks and fixing up and large scale design, but back in the day. So every time I do a piece with somebody, even when you fix it, they still have to go through all of that history to get up to the point where they can enjoy it. So they still remember that person. And even if it was a good tattoo, you're having to repair, fix, or cover. They're like, this guy was an asshole. And you remember that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right.
Oh,
yeah, so many people say that, when they come in and they're like, it brings back such bad memories because of this, while they were getting it done. And, that's more and more too. I'm seeing a lot of, clients will come in and talk about tattoo personality of when they walk in a shop and how they're, just assholes and dicks. And, they're nobody's kind, there's none of that, I mean, there is that, but it's getting less and less, so I think it's important to, it's super important to just be nice to your person,
As that falsity when you first start, especially if you're going through it from the idea of the TV show was the bridge for you into the industry, where you think that there's a level of freedom, autonomy, and creativeness in tattooing that is just inside of yourself that you don't have to share. And that's not we're production artists. We're a trade. We've said this a lot on the show, is you're like a plumber or an electrician. You wouldn't have a job unless somebody's paying you to do it.
No, it's absolutely true. That's absolutely true, because you're not of value unless people come to you. Without that other side, you're nothing. I mean, tattoo on fake skin all day, I guess, but right?
What do you think about that stuff? Oh, I hate it so much.
It's I mean, like I said, the first time I ever worked with that was for the Natural History Museum, and I tattooed that silicone arm, and they developed this specific formula for the one that they had. It felt a lot like tattooing real skin.
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool. Now, the stuff you buy from the suppliers like that, it's not the same. It doesn't have the same drag or feel to it, that things do. But what I think that's good for is new people learning. I think it's good for that. You can practice the movements, practice drawing, pulling a straight line, or thickening a line without having to go onto a body and mess somebody up.
Like we all had to.
But like I said, I trained people so differently. So back when I trained people, we didn't have those things. So we went from paper, and then it was during there was tribal, right? Or there was things that were going to be covered up, or there was things that were going to be redone. So I would get volunteers to come in with that lined out bad piece, and we would practice in the middle, and then in the middle of
top
it.
Of it.
That's cool. And then I would go ahead and fix the piece for them, or finish it or cover it up or whatever,
That's really
but
smart.
I would never say, here's a machine tattoo this person, because when that tattoo goes on the skin and my apprentice does their first tattoo, I want it to look good. I want somebody to say, wow, I got this great tattoo. So by the time they hit actual skin, they know what they're doing.
That's
Cool.
Cool. Yeah.
They already know. They do that first tattoo. They already know how to line. They know how to shade. They know how to blend. They learned it in the middle of some tribal that is now solid black or whatever, So I never had an apprentice do a bad tattoo.
Nice.
Ever.
Yeah. Started PPE and never had a bad apprentice tattoo. That's right. Awesome.
Yeah, that's true. And they just got better from there, because then it becomes like learning the actual skin. They've already learned it some, learned placement, balance, all that kind of stuff. So, those first ones are just like boom.
Yeah.
Do a lot of those,
Yeah. Yeah. Do 500 of these this big. We'll go up to some this big, slowly start scaling out.
I actually think that this is just my opinion, so I don't upset anybody, but I think that most people who train people wrong.
Oh, shots fired. There we go.
Yeah. I mean, I think that handing somebody a tattoo machine and say, just do it or tattoo yourself, there's better roads to travel. There's safer ways, and so they feel more confident. Build the confidence first, help them to feel good about what they're doing. So when they actually do that first tattoo, they do a good one.
They're being set up for success.
Exactly.
All the way through.
You do it with our kids, right?
Yeah.
We hope
we
to.
Hope so.
We hope. It's kind of what we want to do. We know that's the better way to go about it. So that's the way I think tattooing should be taught.
Yeah. Do you think that there's like a loss of apprenticeship in the industry? That's like true apprenticeship as things have evolved?
It's still there. It's very rare, because now it's being done. There's tattoo schools popping up, right? And there's, you guys have them up there, right? And we're starting to have them down here and there. People are opening those, or it's like group apprenticeship. So the single one-on-one thing is being lost. Mm-hmm. And I personally love that connection. I think that's the way to learn, one-on-one. I like starting out just me and the person. And then after some of those skills are developed, all these other artists in the shop are all very talented. And now that you've absorbed the basic techniques, you can understand what they're doing. You can understand what they're doing, that person, and you can absorb that better than like, well, wait a minute, you're doing it that way. You're doing it that way. Everybody's confused. Yeah. Or you're learning in a classroom. You got 20, 30 people all learning to tattoo in some cases over a weekend. Yeah. What are they learning in that amount of time?
I don't know. We're fit for an overhaul out here of how the schools are set up, because how the health department in Oregon looks at it is that tattoo schools are only here to teach you how to tattoo safe. They're not actually here to teach you how to tattoo. But the schools are marketing it as you can be a professional tattoo artist if you come here. And the average cost is anywhere from $12,000 to $20,000 for a 3-month course. That usually is on average how long it takes, 3 to 6 months, and it's cash only. Oh. So it's like, especially here, we check the demographics. I sit I'm like the vice chair of the health board for the body piercers and tattooers up here. And we look at the demographics and the stats that we have come in. The industry is really skewed. Like there's not a whole lot of representation, minority wise, especially up here. Everything is just kind of like these 19 to 21-year-old, especially like female dominant, especially female identifying dominant in the marketplace as the new things that are moving in. But the people who own the shops are all 35 to 53-year-old white men.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if you should reach out to Miss Mickey up there, because she's really, really talented, knowledgeable. She's been tattooing a long time, and I know she's interested in helping the education in some way. That'd actually be really cool. I've been trying to do some outreach with some people, because things need to change, because the market's flooded. And the health board looks at this as like a business, right? They need to get licensors in there so we can keep the funds coming and stuff. But right now we're pushing for proctored exams. So when you come in, if you're going to have your license, it's not just that you can pass a written test where 30% of the questions aren't actually valid. Actually, like, have somebody come in and see what you're doing. And like, yes, you did. You set up correctly, at least. Like, no. Yeah, you have to have that. Yeah. There's so many, over the years, our business, it used to be tattoo, right? It used to be tattoo. Then it became, okay, we need artistic side. And then now we have to, we're not only artists who tattoo, we have to have medical knowledge, right?
Yeah.
We have to have cleanliness, right? We have to learn all of that, and we have to be business people. And there's so many,
so much going on with this. Yeah.
You got to have workman's comp insurance, you got to have, all this stuff that, when I started, you rented a spot and you tattooed. And then all of a sudden it's like, what do you mean I have to have workman's comp insurance? I have to have employees, though. Yeah, these guys have to be employees, our front room staff and all of that have to be employees, and the push towards tattoo artists being employees is constantly in our face. We've had we get audited a lot at my shop. People are surprised how many times we get audited, and we get audited about everything. It could be taxes, it could be the EDD, it could be OSHA. We've had all of these people audit our shop, and we've had success in every single audit, but it shows you how much you actually have to know. And all these aspects. So if somebody's learning to be a tattoo artist, you can take your driver's license test type tattoo test, right?
Yeah.
But you have to learn to drive the car.
Yeah.
Right? You have to learn to maintain the car. You have to take care of the car. There's all these other things involved, and they're not looking at that. They're looking at the written test and not the practical application. And not the caring for the business. And this is same with our schools, because they don't teach the kids how to live, they don't teach them any of that.
No,
right?
they
Same
really
thing in
don't.
tattoo training. So it'd be really helpful for you guys, if you got together and talked about those things and get them into play. So at least it's being done right if it's going to be done.
Yeah. I'll actually, I got my notes to reach out here after that. Do you think that there could ever be like, I know it used to be with the NTA, like if you had a certification, you remember like it meant something, there was like, it meant that you were a professional, you were vetted. And now, like, I think the APT, I don't know if they're still even around. I talked to the dude a couple of years ago, and he said that they're going through restructuring. So I don't even know if they're, still around. The NTA's like gone. All the other like professional organizations I know about, they're all gone. Like, do you think we could ever get back to something like that?
I think possibly, but I'm a little fearful of what it will be. I'm a little fearful of how, like the APT, when they had that, the idea of that was to help each other, to back each other up, to be there if there was a legal situation or something like that. I was on the board there for a little while, and that did carry on much past me. And I know that, they would get together for meetings, and that was always the idea, but the community never accepted it. It's like the fear of, well, what are you doing? They're scared of it, right? They felt it was too much to handle, as far as it would bring too much attention to the business, So I think now, that we've gone forward in this business, it's necessary to have some sort of that organization, something that monitors and makes sure people are doing proper, decent tattoos, at least, right? But how do you do that? Like, how do you patrol that? Yeah, it's pretty hard. There's too many tattoo artists, right?
Yeah,
it has to. It's
so big. There's 5,000 tattoo artists in Oregon.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know how many there are. But in Long Beach, when we took over the shop at the Pike, for instance, there was one small shop. It was on the other side of town, and that was the only shops in the town. And then, there was the lawsuit with the government in the United States that opened up tattooing anywhere. And so it just started boom, 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 boom. They were everywhere. And I'd say in our downtown region, which is 1.3 square miles, I think we have 20 shops. Yeah, there's a lot.
Wow.
They're just everywhere. Yeah, it's super dense.
A lot of like smaller private shops or like 2-person shops, things like that, or is it like, because you have a pretty big
most
crew.
of these there's those, but there's also big shops, that are carrying 12, 15 artists, and but I don't know how everybody's surviving. Honestly, I do not think that everybody's making a decent living. Let's say maybe they're scraping by, and then there's some who aren't. They're just the newer artists, they come in and it's really hard for them to build a clientele, to keep their schedules full. It's super hard.
We need to get a bit of there was always a contraction period. I've seen like every 5 to 10 years back, like when I started too, like, and I heard about before, you have this expansion and everyone would start to like leave the shop, go open up their own shop, and then you'd have too many shops and it would contract. Bad artists would leave, good artists would go back to the original shop that worked out, like, oh, try again next time. And it would do that. And it doesn't seem like we've had a contraction period inside the industry for like the past 15 years or something, it's just kept growing.
No, because the glory of individual studios, individual private studios, at least here in LA, it's, we're outside of LA, but in LA proper, it's massive. The amount of shops they rent these beautiful, studio, apartments basically out overlooking the city, and they tattoo their clients there, and it's just them and their client in this magnificent setting. And so that's really hard for small shops to compete against. So the small shops are struggling, or the shops who have been there a long time who haven't been able to do that, let's say, and they're trying. You have one shop owner who's got 3-4 people working there, and they're trying to make a living and trying to carry it on, the tradition, but they can't. It's hard to get artists to come to those kind of studios anymore. They don't want to work like that.
They want to be part of a collective or a cooperative. They want to have like the splits now are gone. I've seen a lot of people doing away with that. Just like booth rentals are kind of the ways to go, because and that's smart too, because people don't remember how the original pay structure was in tattoo shops. So it has to be a lot different, right?
Yeah, we still have shops doing the split out here, but we have a lot of investors opening shops now, so they're not necessarily tattoo artists, they're investor owned, right? So if you have an investor owning a shop who is not a tattoo artist, they come in and they're like, we're gonna give you all your supplies, and we're gonna pay all this, and we're gonna give you 80% of your money you bring in, whatever. And then those artists, they're like just cranking in money. And then we have the other type of shops that are running it more business like. So they have a front office person, say, and they dole out the tattoos to, Bobby, you're doing this tattoo at 3:00. Fred, you're doing this tattoo at 5. Wilma, you got this tattoo coming in at 1, and then right after that, you got this one, and one person schedules them all out. So we got those kind of shops coming in, and the guys who are running, the standard shops where, they're working 60-40 or whatever they're doing, they're struggling so bad.
Yeah. I remember I worked 30-70 for a period of time. When I first started, you get 30%, shop keep 70. I'm like, cool.
See, I've heard of that, and that's really, really hard to. I didn't have to do that, thank God, but I was pretty lucky,
just booth rental right from the start.
No, it was a percentage, but I only worked. So I started tattooing in 79, but I was still learning basically. In the first shop I went into, I just worked weekends, and it was 60-40 split, and I got 60. Right. But I just worked weekends. I worked 2 days, and I had a regular job during the week, and I did that for a couple of years until I could save up enough. And then one of my bosses actually told me that I should consider being in my own studio, because everything that came in, it was kind of, I was young, and I had that mentality, like I would listen, and they'd be consulting with the client, and the artist would be like, oh, I can't do that, and I'm like, I'll do it, I can do that, you know?
Yeah.
I'll do it. I can do it, right? And I just started doing that a lot. Like, I can do it. I think I can do that, you know? So I had that I think I can do it mentality.
Yeah, I think we're almost at our 2 hour mark too. I don't want to keep you too long. This has actually just been fun talking with you. Like, thank
Super
you.
fun.
Yeah, this is I didn't I didn't I don't know. Like, you always build up your mind about how people are before you meet them, and you were like the most down to earth fucking cool person. I get to tell Season,
Thank you.
no, she is that fucking cool. Like, straight
Thanks.
up. That's
I
awesome.
appreciate that. You know, we're just tattoo artists after all, right?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, we're tattoo artists, you know, and I come from a very, very small living, you know, and when I started, you know, and you know, I don't know, I think about it differently. Like, I don't ever want to be rock star mentality. I don't want to have that, you know, so I don't want it. Yeah.
That's a great place to stop.
This is our generic outro track. Thank you everyone for listening. Remember, please go give us a like, subscribe, review on any of the podcast players or platforms that you enjoy listening to us on. And thanks for listening to the show. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you again next week.